So let's get started. I want to thank and congratulate Miranda, Helen, Eliza, and all others at the museum who put on a wonderful, wonderful exhibit. I was there in May when it opened, and it's just fabulous. Also, I want to thank all those that contributed heavily to the book. Here you can see me. This is the day I got the book. And of course, I've been working years on it, and my wife took this picture. She said, "You're a happy boy." In any case, those that contributed are Paul List, my publisher, Ted Donson, Sam Davidson, Rebecca McDonald, Gordon Snell, who is joining us today and was there with me at the opening, Stephen Kern, former curator at the San Diego Museum of Art, Sophia Hong, who is here today running the slideshow, and especially my patient, beautiful wife, Olga. And so just thank you for everybody. This has been a massive amount of work, and I'm really pleased with all the help. So let's talk a bit about Albert Belleroche. Here's a picture of him. He was born in 1844 and trained as an artist in Paris, one of the best schools. He did oils and drawings, but he's most noted for his lithographs. That's the topic here today. And he died in England at the age of 80. Blah, 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 blah. Now you can get these bits on Google. I'm not going to bore you with it. What I want to do is tell you about Albert, his wife, his art, and many special stories. With apologies to Dickens, I'm going to tell you the story of the tale of two determined women, Lily on the left and Julie on the right. These are two beautiful, smart, and very determined women who dramatically shape Albert's life and career. He has no idea what he's in store for. Lily Grenier on the left in 1888 was an extremely popular model. She was a superstar. Everybody wanted to photograph or paint her. And Francois Gouzy photographed her in 1888. And many artists painted her, including Cormon, Degas, Henri Toulouse-Lautrec, and others. Now, Albert and Toulouse-Lautrec were very close friends. They were buddies. They drank together. They hung out in the cafes, and they both had studios in Montmartre. Albert used to hang out at Lautrec's studio. He didn't have to work. Albert didn't have to work. He was quite well off. He was a count, and so he had a lot of spare time, and he spent a lot of it with Toulouse-Lautrec. In any case, about 1888, he saw Lily at Lautrec's studio. Here she is, beautiful redhead, and a very popular woman. And he was captivated by Lily. By 1890, he had wooed Lily away to become his model, his mistress, and his muse for 17 years, long time. Belleroche produced many oils and drawings and 67 lithographs of Lily. Here's one of the early ones. Now, Lily was quite a character. She had 3 husbands, and yet she lived with Albert the whole time. Her husbands, they did not, as you can imagine, they did not cope well, and they all died of alcoholism. But Lily, she did well. Her last 2 husbands were quite wealthy. Her first one was a cook. So by 1907, Lily was financially independent, living with Albert, and Albert was a well-established and recognized artist. And they were having a good time in Paris. Now, Belleroche had no idea about the next woman who was about to change his life upside down and his career as well. That's Julie. Now, Julie Vissot, she's another character, was a talented singer who wanted to perform on stage. She wanted to go professional. But her father, Jules Vissot, forbid it. He thought that women, respectable women, never appeared on stage. But Julie was insistent on singing, so she ran away from home to Brussels to perform on stage. Now, she was so good that Paris newspapers, even the Paris newspapers, noted her and carried her reviews. Her father saw these reviews, and you can imagine. He got on the train, went to Brussels, dragged Julie home. Can you imagine the fireworks? In 1907, Jules pretty well gave up. He realized that he could not handle Julie and decided to get her married off. He contacted his friend, Albert de Belleroche, to do a society portrait lithograph. According to Albert's daughter, Alice, and I spent a lot of time with her, Belleroche immediately fell in love with beautiful Julie. Now, he's living with Lily, but he's falling in love with Julie. And Belleroche, he titled this first lithograph of Julie that he did on commission, Divine. Now, Julie was 17 years younger than Albert. And the story is, Alice, his daughter, told me that Albert was so smitten with Julie that when he finished this lithograph, he asked Jules for her hand in marriage. And Jules refused. He was a smart guy. He knew about Lily and her 3 husbands and how they'd been living together for 17 years. And Albert said, no way. Jules said, no way. However, Albert was persistent. And eventually, about 2 years later, Julie, here she is going out. Julie said, yes, but. The first but, Albert, you must give up Lily. And second, we will move to London. And I can imagine that Albert said, okay, I'll give up Lily, but I'm established here in Paris. Why go to London? Why London? And Julie's answer probably was, because Lily is not in London. So Lily, Lily was very jealous, and she tried to break up Albert and Julie was extremely jealous of Lily. She sent Lily a letter warning her to keep her hands off Albert. Julie even went to Albert's studio one night and removed all the oils, drawings, and lithographs of Lily. What happened to them? I don't know. She probably burned them, knowing Julie. Well, Julie had her way, and they married in London in 1910. Now, they had 3 children. Here's a photograph of William being born. And Julie became his model for 17 years until Albert retired, basically retired at age 60. Now, there is a mystery around Lily because there are some works titled Lily and some works titled Petite Lily. And so I had to do some detective work. Albert produced 67 lithos of Lily, some labeled Petite. 15 of those are labeled Petite Lily. And Petite Lily is shown as a sweet young woman in her 20s. Here you can see a picture of her. In addition, I attribute 7 other lithos to be a Petite Lily, even though they're titled just Lily. However, Lily Granier, the initial model, she became Belleroche's model in 1890. And here you can see, as you saw previously, she's a beautiful redhead. Belleroche's painting shows her as a young girl, maybe in her late 20s. She remained his model and mistress until 1908. But by 1908, Lily Granier was 45 years old. And the lithographs of Lily that were sure of Lily from 1901 to 1908 show a mature and well-rounded woman. To solve this mystery, I concluded, notice that this picture of Lily, there's a cleft, there's a dimple in the chin, which is important. We'll talk about that later. To solve this mystery, I conclude that there were two Lilies. First, I noticed that Lily Granier had a cleft chin. Here is a picture of Lily on the left by Toulouse-Lautrec around 1880, and she, maybe 1890, she has a cleft chin. But Petite Lil on the right does not. So who is this younger beauty who looks a lot like Lily, 20 years ago? My research revealed that she is, in fact, Lily Granier's niece. I purchased a Belleroche painting from Alice, Belleroche's daughter, and it's titled La Niece de Lily. The redhead is the same woman in K12. So this is the painting of Petite Lily. And it's pretty obvious it's the same woman. She does not have a cleft or a dimple in the chin. My conclusion is supported by a photograph of Belleroche's lithograph. Here you can see this is titled Distraction. I imagine Belleroche was quite distracted with Petite Lily. That bears an inscription by Belleroche's son, William, that reads, Lily's niece, Petite Lily, 1905. So mystery solved. The rest of the story is in the book. And Julie describes Albert as generous, shy, and modest. He did very few self-portraits. There are two of them in the exhibition. By the way, Rembrandt did 34 self-portraits. Belleroche only did about 5. Now let's talk about Belleroche's art and what makes him special. In the 1990s, I bought 2 drawings, a silver point here on the left, Petite Caroline, and on the right, a pastel Principes. I got them home, I examined them. I later discovered that they were both lithographs. Oh my. Belleroche's mastery had fooled me. And, I feel like I have some experience here, but I was in good company. In 1903 and 1904 at Paris exhibitions, some of Belleroche's lithographs, they were all lithographs, were listed as drawings and pastels. So they made the same mistake I did. How did Belleroche fool the experts? This began my 35-year adventure to discover secrets. Now, the short answer is that Albert insisted on total obsessive control of the entire lithographic process. Unlike other artists, he drew directly on the stone. He did not use transfer paper like everybody else. Renoir used transfer paper and many other people did. And he printed all the images himself on his own press in the studio. The problem with transfer paper is that you don't have to, draw on the stone. You draw on paper, and then you transfer that image to the stone. And the problem is that the fidelity is pretty bad, and you can tell it's a lithograph. But if you draw directly on the stone, which very few people do, you have really great details. And he did this with all of his lithographs. One of his inventions is a new way to produce color lithographs. Here we see a color lithograph. He adopted this new technique from his close friend, Paul Helou. Helou specialized in multicolored dry points by painting his copper plate. Now, lithographs use a stone, and dry points and etchings use copper plates. And there's something called à la poupée, which is painting, dabbing on the plate. And that's what Paul Hellew did. Here you can see a color dry point of Paul Hellew's beautiful wife, Alice. And you see red lips, blue eyes, reddish brown hair, black. So you have like 4 colors here. And also, this is a lithograph that was recently discovered by Gordon Stone. Thank you, Gordon. And you can see here we have multiple colors. We have red lips, we have brown hair, black, and then the skin tone is supplied by the paper. Albert's real gift, however, was to create very intimate connections between you and the viewer. This is such a beautiful lithograph. I have it hanging in a house, and I'm just captivated by it. It's a lithograph of the young seamstress. Albert connects us with the detail concentration of this 13-year-old girl. She doesn't even know we're looking at her. We even feel like we don't want to interrupt her concentration. This is the same feeling that Vermeer created with his oil, The Lace Maker, in 1669. It is possible that Belleroche saw this painting during his trip to the Netherlands. He went with his 2 buddies, John Singer Sargent and Paul Hellew, to Holland in 1882 to look at the old masters. In another example, Belleroche captures the sweet innocence of 2 young girls. I just love this innocence of these 2 girls. It reminds me of Degas' oil, The Dancers. If you told me that lithograph was by Degas, I would believe you. And you can see here the 2 girls. Both images give me this special feeling of a connection to the girls. Now let's talk about Roger Marx in 1908. Probably most of you have ever heard of him. He was a art critic 100 years ago, and he said that Belleroche lithographs are the rival of painting. Later, Stephen Kern, 90 years later at the San Diego Museum of Art said the same thing, that Belleroche's lithographs are the rival of paintings. I confess that I didn't get it. I mean, hello, paintings are in color. You can see the color. And these are black and white images. It didn't make any sense to me. After studying it, what I eventually understood is that an image has many dimensions, and color is certainly an important one. But another very strong dimension is, how do you feel about the image? Are you connecting with the subject? Does the subject speak to you? Do you feel drawn in? Overall, the emotional connection, this is a dimension that's more powerful than the color dimension. Magic happens, and we feel like we're almost intruding on a private moment of the sitters. Here we have 2. I love this over-the-shoulder glance. And the girl and the lady in the sun hat. Albert understood the importance of the connection, just as Vermeer and Degas and Renoir and Monet and others did. However, there are some portrait oils. Here we show 2 of them. Here's one on the left by Manet and the one on the right by Sargent, that do not allow us to connect with the subject. Even though they're in color, it's like they're posing as if on stage, and they have these vacant, lifeless stares. They are pretty and colorful, but it's like keep out. There's no connection allowed. We are not invited into their space. Certainly, when Belleroche connects us with the sitters, his black and white images do rival color paintings where we are not connected. Now let's talk about the catalog itself. As Alyssa mentioned, it's available at the museum and also online. In addition to all these wonderful family stories, which I got directly from the daughter, this is the first complete catalog of Albert Belleroche's lithographs. There are over 1,000 illustrations. Most of them are shown for the very first time. They're unpublished. And the details on each lithograph are faithfully lifted from Belleroche's personal work logbook. This is quite a rare document to have a work logbook of any artist. And here we have Belleroche. You can see there are photographs, 100-year-old photographs on the right. And when he didn't take a photograph, he did a quick sketch of what the lithograph looks like. So it's an original drawing. And this catalog currently is in the Branguen Belleroche Museum in Orange, France. And thanks to the logbook, the catalog, my book has all the details of each lithograph, including the subject, the date, the size, the edition printed, how many he printed, which tells you the scarcity. And Belleroche lithographs turn out to be pretty rare. He produced only maybe 10 prints each. Most importantly, his 100-year-old logbook illustrates either photographs or drawing about 900 of the lithographs. The missing images were assembled over 35 years of collecting and research. I'm especially grateful to Paul Snell and Gordon Snell and Paul Liss, who supplied me with many of the missing images from the family's collection. We invite you to enjoy the Belle Epoque period through the eyes of a very talented artist, Albert Belleroche. He presents us with a parade of beautiful people of the period, including Henry Gazelle. Here you can see him on the left. Julie, Belleroche's beautiful wife. Leon on the left, she's on the cover. Madame Nini on the right, Nayad, his most beautiful nude. Next slide. Yeah, there on the left, you can see this beautiful nude. And then on the right, we have Miss Mabel Charles, followed by Alice, his daughter, on the left. She's the one that told me all these many stories, and she sold me many Belleroche paintings and lithographs, including that painting of Petite Lille, which helped solve the mystery. And then we have Petite Lille, Lily, and Lily Granier's niece. And then on the right, we have Gildas. And by the way, this is the largest lithograph. It's hanging in the gallery now. It's the only gold medal winner in 1908. And then, of course, Belleroche himself. Here's a drawing when he's probably in his mid-20s. There are many beautiful people inside this book waiting to greet you. It's a great adventure.